It is now time for story time with... Okay. Aaron Christian. Okay, my wife and daughter are in there watching a movie. Every time they watch a movie...
They're watching Dog Purpose.
A movie about a dog. And every time they watch a movie, they cut on the surround sound, so it's real loud, and I don't like it real loud in the house. So I decided to go to the office here and do a little studying for my sermon on Sunday. Well, while I'm studying, guess who comes in to aggravate me?
Yeah!
Aaron. So he says, Daddy, tell me a Bible story. So what I'm going to do is, for my story time, I'm going to tell you the Bible story that I'm going to preach on Sunday. I'm actually going to preach this story on Sunday. I won't give you all the sermon. It'll be too long. I won't give you all the details, but I'll give you an overview of the story I'm going to preach on Sunday and put it in a little kid's version, okay? Sunday, I'm preaching a sermon called How to Start a Fire. I shouldn't tell kids how to start a fire. How to start a fire. But the kind of fire I'm talking about isn't a physical fire, but the spiritual fire, the fire of revival. And this is based on a famous story in the Bible, Aaron, that comes out of 1 Kings chapter 18 about two people, a man named Elijah, who was a good prophet, you listening? And a bad king.
A big giant shoe.
A big giant shoe. And a bad king named Wicked King Ahab. Now, during this time, Aaron, the land had become very ungodly, had turned their backs on God. So during this time, Elijah was a man of God, a prophet of God. And Aaron, guess what? He got mad and said, I've had enough. I'm tired of this idolatry and false stuff. I'm going to prove my God is real. So he challenged the king Ahab. Let Aaron be the bad king. He challenged the king and said, King.
Yeah, right.
So Elijah said, King, I want to meet you on top of a mountain called Mount Carmel. And here's what we'll do. Let me explain the rules. You want to battle me? Let me explain the rules. Here's the rules. I want you to build an altar, and I want you to get your 450 prophets of Baal, all your false prophets. We want you to light a fire. I'm sorry, not light a fire. Make a sacrifice and call for your gods to send down fire, okay? And then when you're done, I'm going to take my altar, build me an altar. I'm going to put my animal on there. I'm going to call on my God to send fire. And the one that sends fire is the one true God. So I'm going to challenge you, the great contest of I'll be Elijah and you'll be the wicked King Ahab, okay? So Ahab, he goes up to that mountaintop and builds an altar. And we can't see you. He's building an altar. He builds an altar, okay? While he builds the altar, it's all done. He then calls for fire. Call for your gods to send down fire. Say, send down fire. The fire didn't fall. So guess what? Elijah picked on him. He said, Hey, Ahab. Go there. Ahab, maybe your God's on vacation. Maybe your God's forgotten about you. Maybe your God's on a hunting trip. Where's your fire? Why don't you call louder? So he called louder. Speaking in tongues. No, send down fire.
Send down fire.
And they got so frantic, they began to cut themselves. And jump around and scream louder. Do all that. Jump around and...
Scream louder! Scream louder!
And the fire never came. So finally Elijah said, let me show you how it's done. So Elijah went to the altar and took 12 stones that were symbolic of the 12 tribes of Israel. And guess what, Ahab? He built an altar. Then he wet the sacrifice. He got 12 barrels of water and soaked down the sacrifice in the altar. As a way of saying that if it's wet, of course, God can't light wet wood. Oh, yes, he can. So he did that to prove that God was powerful. And guess what, Aaron? When they got Aaron, you're done. Over here. My turn. He's still building his altar. Anyhow, when he got done, he soaked it down, and then he called his God. He called on the God of heaven to send down fire. And immediately, fire came down and consumed the sacrifice, burned the wood, all the water that fell in that trench he dug. It licked the water up out of the trench, and God sent revival. And the people, the Bible said, over here in verse 39 and 40, it says, and when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, He is a God. The Lord, He is a God. They realized that Elijah worshipped the one true living God, and Ahab had a false God. So they realized that day that God is real.
God loves you.
He is the one true God. So to have fire fall in revival, we have to repair the altars and call on the one true living God. And say, God, send the fire, and God will rain down fire from heaven. So Aaron, I'm going to preach this Sunday in more detail and break it down line by line and verse by verse. So don't miss church Sunday morning, 11 a.m., East Lumberton Baptist Church. I'm going to preach on how to start a fire from the great story of King Ahab and Elijah out of 1 Kings chapter 18, 38 through 39. So hope to see you then. Aaron's going to be there. See you then. So remember, God loves you, and bye-bye.